What's up everybody, Arrg the Pirate here, and today I'm going to be playing Support Steel. Now I did go growth and death in this build, so this is not quite that full Support Steel. I'm mainly focused on being a frontline fighter. Now I start out with auto potion, fast travel, quick exit, armored, damage return, and consume the dead for my gems. Now for my cards, I have Coin Master, Cool the Weak, Exoskeleton, Green Spring, Possess Sprykin, Growth Totem, Veil Stepper, Vengeful Mare, Numbing Rogue, and lastly Unbroken Spirit. Now, I have not played a whole lot of Steel since version 42 came out, and this is actually my first game since version 42, so, you know, it's been a few months since I really played any Steel, and, you know, tank heroes are in just such a good spot right now. We've got heroes like Kwong and Fang, Steel, Grux, Sevrog, you know, they're all just really good and in very strong spots right now, especially with this kind of burst caster meta. You know, you've got these tanks that can just really negate a lot of that burst damage and set up, you know, stuns and CC and things like that to really capitalize on getting those kills. So Steel feels very solid. Although Shield Bash does take a little bit to get used to because you kind of swing it to the left. So if the enemy's standing just to your right, or, you know, they have to either be directly in front of you or on your left side. If, you know, they are just a little bit on the right, you actually miss them, and that takes me a little bit to get used to. This is my first match with Steel in a while, so, and especially since this new rework, his kit feels very solid. I do miss his bull rush, and you cannot really get out of situations like you used to be able to. So you definitely need to build him a lot more tanky and a lot less fighter-like. But, you know, with the new card system, there really aren't a whole lot of bruiser builds. It's really, you know, hey, you've got your tank build and then you can put on a damage card as well. So Steel feels very solid, and I gotta say, he's absolutely a blast to play. I definitely will be playing a little more Steel in the future. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going, hey, Pirate, you don't have wards. How can you call yourself a support if you don't have wards? And yes, I fully understand that, but, you know, I'm a frontline fighter. I'm the guy that goes in and sets up kills. And I can set up kills with growth. You know, there's some amazing tank cards in growth. Not only that, but with death, I've got access to something like Numbing Rogue that's going to just completely shut down other fighter heroes. And that's amazing. That is an amazing combination. Sure, I miss out on wards, but I really can't justify going with the Order Affinity just for wards. Of course, Godmother is still a great card, but if you saw my testing videos, you would know I'm not a big fan of the Godmother build. You know, even if I just went straight Godmother and, you know, did the straight Godmother with Lamplighters combo, I'm still just not a fan of that build, and I want to try out new things, and, you know, I really think having the Death Affinity with growth is just an amazing combination. Now let's get into the gameplay. So if you see here, I'm fairly low. We do end up pushing that wave into the tower. Now I don't want to back because I need to be able to peel for my Twin Blast. And I'm just going to kind of hang out, and sure enough, their Seraph heads over for a gank. I'm able to get a shield bash on her. Now Twin Blast does notice that this is happening, so he's able to kind of head around and he starts retreating. I'm able to get under tower. Now, I missed this shield bash, and if you see, she was able to just barely sidestep that shield bash, and she ends up taking me out. That's really unfortunate. But we did take an ADC jungler out for a support, and we got our carry a free kill, basically. So, you know, it sucks that I went down. I needed to go back anyways. I'm able to put on that Possessed Sprykin, and we're going to come back in the lane and just absolutely dominate. So, it worked out great. Fed our ADC, took their jungler out. That was a, you know, all-around good play. But you could definitely see my positioning. That's really key. I see a lot of, you know, melee supports go in and hit the tower and everything like that when, you know, as a support, you're not really going to do a whole lot of damage. You can see I'm doing 27 damage to this tower, which is not an entire lot of damage. It's much better to stay back so you can peel for your squishier heroes. So for everybody that doesn't know, whenever I say peel for your... what peeling is you basically take aggro off of somebody. So, for example, that Twin Blast right there. Say, you know, Shinbi goes in on Twin Blast. I head over there and start, you know, punching and beating up Shinbi. That is peeling for him. I take the aggro, I peel the aggro off of him, and allow him to do full damage while she's focused on me. Now, as a tankier hero, peeling for heroes such as your ADC or your caster is huge. That is your main job. Even if you're not playing a support hero, if you're just a tanky hero, you need to peel for your damage dealing heroes, you know, and that's your burst caster and your ADC. So that is critical for you as a support hero or even just, you know, a healthier hero. Now from here, I actually back and put on Call of the Week and I head to that offlane. Now, Call of the Week is strictly for securing farm when my ADC's not around. I am not stealing any farm with this card. I've seen a ton of supports lately, or a ton of steals and things like that, going off lane or going safe lane and just stealing farm from ADCs. And, you know, that really hurts your entire team. So that should really be stopped. And, you know, yeah, I'm strictly using this card to try to catch up on farm and things like that. So do not steal, you know, last hits from your ADC if you're going to use Call of the Week. Now, I am able to set this lane here in mid. Our Bellica's fairly low. Me and her are actually in comms, so, you know, we were able to go. I was able to say, hey, I'll stay here, kind of clean this lane up, you know, get it where it's not going to push it under tower, and you just head back. But our twin was actually, you know, having a little bit of trouble over here. So I'm going to head into that safe lane and try to clean this lane up. Sure enough, we are able to take out this wave. Seraph and Shinbi, you know, they don't really want to deal with us under tower, so they're going to back off. But I am here back in this safe lane, so hopefully we can make something happen. Now, Shinbi does attempt to go in on our Twin Blast. We're able to, you know, get a little damage on her. Shinbi is pretty hard to deal with at level 5 because she does have that ultimate, which she did try to go in on that Twin Blast, get that, you know, all those stacks on him and take him out. But you can see I was able to absorb a lot more of that than him, so I end up taking that full ultimate. You can see I'm already almost back at full health. Unfortunately, their Seraph did DC this match. She does come back, but, you know, we were able to get that free kill there. And if you saw, I helped get her low, and then I just let Twin Blast take her out. I definitely want to get our ADC fed, even though I do want farm myself. My number one job is to get our carry fed, not feed myself. We are able to take out this tier 2. You know, this is pretty early tier 2, and that's great. Early tier 2's absolutely wonderful. Shinbi did stay in a little too long, and Twin was able to take her out, but he's fairly low, and since I don't have a whole lot of healing cards, I want to tell him, hey, we got to get out. You need to get out. I want to keep you safe. I don't have my ultimate anymore, so there's not a whole lot I can do if a gank does come in. But sure enough, he does head back, so I'm going to head over to mid lane and see if I can make something happen. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through all this. This is really, you know, basic stuff. We kind of get into a standoff where we're pushing, they're pushing, we're pushing, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm going to fast forward through all that. I end up heading into the jungle, saying, hey, I'll retreat, and then I say, nah, we need to go back in there, and sure enough, we do. Now, Bellica does end up getting a double knockup, so I take advantage of this and get my own ult off. I'm able to get a significant damage on that Iggy, but we didn't take him out, that's completely okay. He's very low on health, very low on mana. That's alright. We forced him out of lane. Unfortunately, we didn't get the kill, but that was kind of the purpose of that ultimate. We really relieved that pressure. We engaged in a fight, although we didn't win, but that's quite alright. Now, from here, I end up heading back to that mid lane, just in case something happened. Sure enough, we engaged with that steal a little bit. Nothing really happens, and then I'm going to end up heading over to our safe lane. And Shimby, I'm just kind of waiting for her to, retreat a little bit. Now, Fang does end up actually engaging on her, so I take that as my cue to get in there and help out. We do stun her, but, she had her little dash, but that's fine. I've got my ultimate. It's on cooldown. Fang didn't quite take her out with that ultimate, but I do get her with that shield bash. That would have been nice to give that kill to Fang, but I did not want her to get away. And if she did just get a little bit more mana, she might have been able to get her dash and actually escape. So we secured that kill, no big deal. We're currently 1-1-3, so we're not having a bad game at all. But from here, I'm going to head back to that mid lane and see, maybe I can head over and frontline for our team. Now, once we do get to mid lane, we kind of get into an engagement, and, it's really just that same push back and forth. Now, we do get into, kind of an engagement. It was a little sloppy on our part, but no problem. We're kind of just pushing this lane back and forth, like I said, and Steel ends up actually getting a great ultimate that, it gets both me and Twin. One thing our Twin is going forward instead of retreating, which is, kind of an issue. And then that long arm of the law comes in and does, damage to, I want to say, 2 of us. So we got to get out. Now, our Twin is a little out of position. I'm going to go in, try to do the best that I can to keep him alive. Murdoch ends up showing up, and he takes me out. We could have had a much better engagement, but I did need to body block and stay in that fight just to make sure our ADC stayed alive. And, that's my job. We did a great job there. Unfortunately, we did die without, taking one of them out, but that's quite alright. Once I spawn back in, I head back to that mid lane once again, and our Twin still is in that mid lane. Now, I see a perfect opportunity for an engagement. Our Fang does end up coming in, and I'm able to get an ult off on this Iggy, and we secure that kill no problem. It might have been a little bit of an overkill, but getting Iggy down quickly is much better than letting him, use his ult and everything like that. So we're able to take him out fairly fast. Now, we need to get out of mid lane. We need to relieve the pressure in mid lane so the enemy gets out of mid lane. And that's exactly what I do here. I'm going to head to the off lane, kind of, just help it out a little bit. I end up going into the middle of this wave just so this is going to, kind of automatically set this lane. And, I am tanking a little bit of damage, but hey, that's not a big deal. Now, from here, I can go ahead and gank that mid lane. Either the enemies are going to, not expect it, so it's a good gank, or they will be, they will have left because there's no enemies here. Sure enough, they did stay in, and we're able to make quick work of their steal. And Fang jumps in. We're able to take out this Murdoch, no problem at all. So we get a support and their ADC, just by relieving that pressure. And that's one thing that I see a lot of people not doing. They want to stay in lane, keep that presence in lane, and sometimes you just have to let it go because you can come back and make a play like how we just did right there. Now, this has been a crazy action-packed match. We've constantly been in fights, and I'm not going to disappoint you now. This Seraph shows up a little bit, overextends just a little bit. I'm able to ult her, shield bash her, take her out. Unfortunately, I do go down, but, you know, that kept the tower dive from happening. And I would say a support for a jungler is a win any day. Now, I did go ahead and tell Twin, hey, let's get out of mid lane. Let's go and farm our lanes. Fang has been doing a great job for, actually keeping our lane up and alive, but we really need to focus on farming our lane and get out of that mid lane. We've made a lot of plays happen, but we're trading kills, and it's really not helping anyone. So sure enough, we go and farm our lane, and then something goes down in mid lane, so I go ahead and head over there. Now, I do get a great knock up, and you see this Seraph was about to use her Ascend, and we actually stunned her out of that, which she probably stunned for longer since she was already kind of in the air, which, hey, we secured that kill, no problem. And, we now have to deal with Iggy, but if you see here, all I'm doing, taking out his turrets, I'm not too concerned about Iggy. With my passive, I do have to be a little bit careful. His fire does knock my passive off fairly quickly, but I am starting to get a little tanky, and you can see I have that numbing rogue on now, so it's slowing the damage that's coming out of the enemy team as well. So, we've got a pretty solid setup. He does end up using his ult, a little premature, and hey, that's no big deal. Unfortunately, their Steel does end up ulting our Bellica, and we're both really body blocking her. She can't really get around us, but she ends up actually getting around us. I'm able to, kind of walk her back to the tower, make sure she stays safe, and then Fang actually heads into this mid lane. Now, I thought he was going to rotate all the way over to this Iggy, but he actually doesn't, and, that's unfortunate. I end up just staying in and taking out that turret just so if someone was escaping, there isn't a turret sitting there that an unlucky death. It's probably a waste of time, but, no big deal. I ended up missing that Steel ultimate. Oh man, how do you miss a Steel ultimate? But no big deal. That was really my last hurrah. I'm very low. I need to get out. I can body block a little bit, but, body blocking an Iggy, he sets everything on fire. It's pretty hard to do. So I gotta get out, and I'm gonna head back to base. Now, from here, we end up heading back to the mid lane, of course. That's where the battle's going down. So that's where I need to be. And we end up actually making the play that secures the mid tier 1 for us. Now, Iggy is under his tower, and being under tower is not a safe place. I end up ulting him, and I end up standing under him so it keeps him stunned a little bit longer. I shield bash him, and we just absolutely melt him. We end up taking out this tier 1. That was an amazing play. We killed him before he got his feet back on the ground, which, that's great. And those are the type of plays that, I like making with Steel. I like having that huge presence and really just, setting my team up for kills, setting them up for success. Now, I do head to Raptors. I ping, hey, let's take Raptors. It's perfect time right now. And sure enough, Twin Blast does head over here. We're able to secure all these Raptors, which is great. And, just keep him getting fed. I want him to just be able to slaughter people. And I'm going to stand next to him and keep him stunned. That's the game plan. And we're off to a great start. Now, a few minutes later, or, about a minute later now, I do get a little overconfident. This Shimby is heading out of lane, and we're just going to kind of farm this lane up. And then I end up rotating back to mid. You can see they've still got a huge presence in mid. And I want to come in behind them. I want to try to get a gank, which is what Shimby was doing. And, I just got a little overconfident with what I had. I've got my ultimate, so I'm really not worried about a whole lot. But our team, they just weren't ready for that collapse. I really should have used my ultimate to, negate some of that. But I was really waiting for my team to collapse so they could take advantage of that stun. That was just me being overconfident, and, I got caught out of position and just got wrecked for it. So you can see, even though, I am kind of a tank, you can still get melted. So just be very careful, but, you shouldn't make unnecessary plays like that either. Now we are heading back to this mid lane. You can see, I mean, this has been a mid lane match right here. You know, their Steel, their Iggy, their Seraph, their Shimby, they've all been and just had huge lane presence this match. And, you know, when they do that, we got to do it too. We have to counter that because they're just going to march right down our lane. And, you know, you really can't allow that to happen. But, you know, it's actually been a pretty enjoyable match. We've had just a ton of action. We're currently 3, 4, and 8. So, as a support, as a frontline, we're not doing all that bad. And, you know, like I said, it's just been a really fun match. I do end up heading over to this offlane. You know, it's getting a little out of hand, so I definitely want to secure that. I'm starting with the ranged minions because, of course, you know, they do the more damage. And then I'll work on the, you know, melee minions, but hopefully I'll get somebody else to show up by the time that happens. And sure enough, Shimby shows up. Now from here, I make a cross-map journey over to that safe lane. Our Fang and Twin were pushed up, and then they were counter-pushing them. So I definitely need to show up so, you know, we can actually make a play happen. And sure enough, we do. Now, when I do show up, I can see Shimby's going in, and she's got all of her stacks on somebody. So I really rush that ultimate. I, of course, miss it because I'm awful. But I didn't take time to set that up. I wanted to get it, you know, I wanted to get that ultimate off as fast as I could. That way she missed her ultimate. And, you know, luckily she did not have her stacks on Twin. She was concentrating on Fang for whatever reason. But hey, that's great. He was able to tank that damage like a champ. And we're able to get a pretty significant counter push in this off lane because, you know, hey, we got them fairly weak. Twin and Fang did a great job, and whenever I showed up, you know, it really kind of scared them. Now, we were able to take out their Seraph, and their Steel was fairly low, and their Shimby was fairly low, and she doesn't have her ultimate anymore. So I go ahead and tell Bellica, hey, let's just keep the pressure up in this lane. Let's push this lane, see if we can make something happen. Iggy's kind of getting set up, but me and Twin are able to take out those turrets, no problem. But, you know, hey, it's not gonna happen. We just need a back. We weren't able to, you know, apply enough pressure, and, you know, the timers for respawn are still fairly low since we're not, you know, we're only 25 minutes into the match, and in version 43 you level up a little bit slower than you used to. So Seraph was back, and hey, it's just not smart to be pushed up that far. Now, I do have a few more points, and I probably could go put on another card, but really, I've got a very solid build, and until I get enough to put on that Unbroken Spirit, I'm just going to keep Growth Totem. So I'm not worried about going back to base. I really just want to make sure that I'm everywhere where a fight has a potential to break out, and sure enough, another one happens here in mid. Now, unfortunately, I did miss that ultimate because, you know, God, I'm terrible. I have no idea how I missed that. For one thing, I thought I hit it. But I don't know why I didn't just change where I was aiming. It's awful. But we end up making a great play under tower here. And, you know, Steel's there, which Steel's pretty tough to deal with. But if you've got a good fed Twin Blast, you know, hey, they can really do some work on Steel. We did manage to tank a lot of that Shimby damage. She wasted her ult on me. But you can see I'm about third health, but I don't need to go back. I just need to be a little more cautious and don't play super aggressive. Now, Shimby was over here in this jungle when Fang came in, but hey, we don't want to worry about her. We actually end up taking down this tier 2. I'm able to ult this Shimby, and Twin just absolutely melts her. So it was a great play, and unfortunately right here they surrender, so we don't get the real victory, but it was a solid game and a lot of fun. Well, Steel's an absolute blast to play, and I like his changes. I will miss Bull Rush, but I think they wanted to take him away from this mobile tank to more of a, you're going to stay right next to me tank, and I'm going to just beat you up. And I do like that. He feels very solid. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and if you did enjoy, show me some love. Leave me a comment, think about subscribing, join our Discord if you haven't done it yet, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.